Remember when aRPGs were about slaying demons and grabbing loot? Not a competition on who's more upset about their aRPG of choice. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Because right now, players are dooming on pretty much every aRPG for one reason or another. Diablo 4 Season 11 is dead because the leaderboards and tower are delayed to January. Also because Diablo 4 is just a bad game and always has been. Path of Exile 2 Druid update is dead because there's no endgame changes. Last Epoch is dead because it's selling classes after selling out to craft on. In this video though, I want to focus on the stuff that we have reason to be excited about for all these games. There's mounting evidence that the Paladin will release with Diablo 4 Season 11, with a smoking gun that was just spotted. Path of Exile 2 is probably getting the coolest Druid of any game ever, plus what may become my favorite League mechanic yet. And Last Epoch is getting a new, better roadmap next week, and skill sigils are still on the menu, boys. Hey folks, this is Rhykker, and I dig into aRPG and gaming news so that you can spend more time playing games. Chapters below to skip to different topics. But before we go on, a word from this video's sponsor, Boot.dev. If you want to learn coding, check this out. Boot.dev has gamified learning to code. They literally built an online programming course into a fun programming RPG. You gain XP, you complete quests, you level up, you earn achievements, and you can rank on a global leaderboard. And you also learn fully at your own pace. Boot.dev believes that the smartest way to learn to code is to ensure you're never bored. With this program, you'll learn the programming languages Python and Go. You're going to learn back-end web development from start to finish, and it's designed to get you to write a ton of code, since they believe that practice is the only way to really learn coding. I've been trying out Boot.dev myself. I'm currently level 11 on Chapter 7, and learning programming through Boot.dev has actually inspired me to build a web tool in my Dungeons & Dragons game to help my players create characters. So let's complete this assignment together. We need to convert some inputs that are coming in as binary numbers into integers. So let's try num servers equals int num servers return num servers. Let's run that part of it to see if it works. And that didn't work. Oh, because it's base 2, we gotta specify. That should work. Yeah, it's correctly converting. So now let's just do the same thing with the other two inputs. Let's try running that. That looks like a pass. Let's submit. And yeah. And if you ever find yourself struggling with an assignment, you can consult with Boots, an AI bear wizard that's been trained in every lesson and can walk you through your issues. But if you're ever really stuck, or you just want to look at the instructor's code, there are solutions available for every challenge. So click the link in the description and use my code Rhykker to get 25% off your entire first year on the annual plan of Boot.dev. Starting off with Diablo news, we got official word that Season 11 begins on Thursday the 11th at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, right after the Game Awards ends. We got a full video going over the campfire chat that went over details there. Do be sure to have checked out that video. A couple of things from the chat that I want to highlight that I think I didn't highlight enough in that video. One possible sanctification outcome, that's the new seasonal mechanic. One of the sanctification outcomes is getting a mythic unique power. So for those of you with bad luck finding a mythic, you may be able to basically sanctify yourself a mythic if you get lucky there instead. But something some folks are pissed about, the tower and the leaderboards will only be launching later in the season in January. I don't really talk about this much because it doesn't bother me at all because I don't care about leaderboards. And the tower is strictly a leaderboard activity. Like there's really no reason to do it. You don't get any loot or anything. So it's not a feature I'm really going to be engaging with. Even though I find the core gameplay fun, it doesn't progress my character anyway. But I could understand for those who were excited, those competitive players who did want to push on the leaderboards and compete with other players, I could understand being upset that this feature is not coming at launch and probably only coming at a time when you're done with the season. But the big question left after the campfire chat was, why did Blizzard decide to delay the season start to after the Game Awards? And why do they keep insisting that we watch the Game Awards? It's obvious that they'll be revealing the new expansion there, but that's not a reason to delay the season. It feels like there must be something specifically relevant to the season that will be revealed. Now, some folks suggested that this was simply because the Chinese launch of Diablo 4 happens on the 12th, so they're delaying the season start so that the season can start in China and the West at the same time. I doubt this is the case because China will have its own servers. So it's not like we'd be getting a head start on them, we won't even be playing together, so what does it matter? A theory that I've seen a lot of people suggest is that Blizzard will stealth drop the Paladin at the Game Awards. We've had strong reason for a while to believe that the Paladin would be the next class coming to the game. We just figured it would come with the expansion, not before. And if you told me a month ago that Blizzard would stealth drop the Paladin at the Game Awards, I would have laughed and laughed and laughed and said no way. But now things are lining up to look like this is a distinct possibility. The season is called the Season of Divine Intervention. We're seeing an angel from heaven come to help us for the first time. The Paladin wields holy power. Industry insider Jez Corden said that the expansion and more would be revealed at the Game Awards for Diablo. Season start delayed to right after the Game Awards. Devs keep insisting we watch the Game Awards. The leaderboards on the tower launch later in the season. Maybe because they want to make sure the Paladin isn't broken AF like the Spiritborn was. They want to get in a balance patch so that the leaderboards aren't instantly scuffed. But the final piece of the puzzle, the smoking gun, look at this. This is a cosmetic coming in Season 11. That is a flail. We don't have flails in D4 currently, so this skin has no model to attach to. Now you know who does wield flails? Paladins. I mean, I guess this could just be a mount trophy, but that'd be pretty mean of Blizzard. Also, if you look at the messaging of the different bundles that Chinese players can purchase, it seems one of those bundles includes some kind of surprise content. I think that at the Game Awards, the devs will reveal Expansion 2, they're going to reveal the Paladin, and they're going to say that if you pre-order the expansion, you get instant access to the Paladin in Season 11. They did something like this with pets. When they revealed Vessel of Hatred, they stealth dropped pets into the game, available for free for everyone, but with a special pet skin as a pre-order bonus. But hey, we'll find out in less than a week at this point. Now, you folks may have also heard about a statue. Some people are still talking about it, so let's go through the whole story here. Last Saturday, the Game Awards host Geoff Keighley shared this strange tweet, an image of some kind of demonic gate in a desert, with 3 words: regal, inspiring, thickness. If you plug those 3 words into the website what3words.com, they translate into geospatial coordinates to this location in California, in what I believe is Joshua Tree National Park, where the Mojave and Colorado deserts meet. And some folks went over to visit this location and started to tweet images and video of this statue. Lots of people began to speculate on what this statue could be, and my first thought was Diablo 4, as was many people. Many people thought this was Diablo 4 related. It's reminiscent of a Hellgate, but that weird monster thing in the middle actually made me think more of Path of Exile 2, the logo monster. Amidst all the speculation, industry insider Jason Schreier came out and said that the statue has nothing to do with Diablo at all. Neither the expansion or just nothing Diablo related. He also confirmed that it's not related to the Elder Scrolls. He seems to know what it is related to, but he is not saying what, and he is very well connected. Someone from the God of War team confirmed that it also is not God of War related, as that was another popular theory. Now, we even got an updated post from the Game Awards Twitter account yesterday, a reply to Jeff's initial post saying, "The blank are silent, blank bleeds, new blank stirs." Now, my personal theory is that this is for a new Elden Ring game. I don't know for sure, but I think if it has to be some existing property, it's going to be something from Software, especially with that little lore tidbit that's very From Software. And if I had to pick a From Software game, I'm going to go with Elden Ring. Now, when this statue lights up at night, it looks kind of like a symbol, and the Elden Ring symbol fits nicely into it, as though it would be teasing that Elden Ring was just a small part of a much bigger universe. Also, in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, we see the Gate of Divinity, where Empyreans are elevated to godhood. Looks kinda similar, with the steps and the skeletal corpses of horrific creatures with horns. Also, you can imagine that maybe the gate was shaped differently in the past, and then something blew off the top or broke it, kind of like so. Anyway, folks, that's my theory, but what is yours? Sound off in the comments. Then in some Path of Exile news, we got the full reveal of the big 040 update coming next Friday, December 12th, which includes a new class, the Druid, as well as the new League. The league that begins on the same date is the Fate of the Vaal, in which we basically build our own dungeon to play through as a sort of mix between Synthesis and Incursion leagues from Path of Exile 1, as we place our own dungeon tiles with different rooms, with different mechanics, and upgrade those rooms to juice the rewards therein. And just watching the trailer, it just gives such solid Path of Exile vibes. Most popular aRPGs are some flavor of dark fantasy, but there are things that really stand out as being distinctly PoE here. The guns from the mercenary, everything about the Vaal. The Vaal is so quintessentially PoE, from their architecture to their magic technology. Plus, PoE's Druid really separates itself from any other game's Druid by having, on top of a wolf form and a bear form, a wyvern form. Yes, you can be a friggin' fire-breathing dragon. Damn, that's just sick. They said the Druid is one of the hardest classes to design, and you can see why. 4 different forms, right, including the human form. It's a hybrid strength and intelligence class with combos between the different forms. Human form is a spellcaster, and spells will often persist when you shapeshift and allow you to combo with your animal skills. And like true Diablo 2 Druid style, you've got fire spells, including tossing your little volcano lava bombs. Human form druids will generally use magic staves as their weapon. For beast mode, you'll use animal talismans. This is a new weapon type, and when you equip it, you select from the animal forms it has available. Some may only have 2 of the 3 forms. Depending on your choice of animal form, you'll get a new basic attack. When you use that basic attack, you transform into the animal form. You transform back into a human when you use a spell. So hybrid gameplay seems like a big focus here. And the kinds of synergies you can expect here, like summon a volcano in human form, then transform into a bear and slam that volcano to make it shoot out more magma balls. The bear form also has a cool rage mechanic. You see runes on your back start to glow, which empower you. There's also a unique item that will turn your bear form into a demon form instead, which looked sick. The wolf form is the more nimble form. It's fast and furious and focused on cold damage, and you can even summon a wolf pack. The wyvern has long-range breath attacks, but also melee wing attacks. It seems to have the most complex mechanics of the 3. You consume corpses to build up power charges, and then you consume those charges to add lightning damage to your wing attacks. You don't even need to wait for enemies to become corpses. You can actually consume low-health enemies as well. You can also spit oil onto enemies to synergize with fire attacks. And I think in caster mode, you can summon rain, and that's going to synergize with lightning or cold to make the enemies more vulnerable to being stunned and slowed or frozen. You can summon vines, of course, a la Diablo 2. The Druid launches with 2 out of its 3 ascendancies. The Shaman, who focuses on elemental magic, and the Oracle, who has this interesting mechanic where you'll see spectral clones of yourself using specific skills. And if you use those skills right after, they'll be buffed significantly. The Oracle also has 130 new extra passive nodes in the skill tree. Overall, this update is bringing 21 new skills, over 30 new supports, 11 new unique items, rebalances to dozens of other uniques, balance changes to almost all ascendancies, Smith of Kidava getting a big rework there, rebalances to 90 active skills, and over 250 new passive skills added to the passive tree. As for Fate of the Vaal, you'll run into Vaal beacons as you play. Mutated monsters are going to be around them. You kill those monsters to fuel the beacons until eventually a portal opens, taking you to a lost temple. There you'll get an interface where you can lay down 6 tiles to build up your temple layout. You place rooms and corridors, and your goal is to maximize your rewards. Rooms will level up if certain conditions are met, like placing a generator nearby. Every room has its own level up requirements. The higher level the room, the better the rewards and the harder the challenge. Once you place everything, you run the temple. Each room locks you in until you complete the challenge within. And your ultimate objective here is to reach the end of the temple and face the new pinnacle boss, Atsiri, but you won't be able to do that for a while. Every time you run the temple, you add 6 rooms, and after the run, you randomly lose 2 of those rooms. So you're gradually building up the temple to be bigger and bigger with more and more rewards, while also building your path towards the pinnacle fight. It's really cool. You unlock more and more functionality over time. I think there's like 9 unique crafting mechanics to unlock. One is a feature that lets you corrupt a corrupted item a second time, but it's a super gamma mechanic. There's a 50% chance you just outright destroy the item. Every room has its own mechanics and rewards. Many include their own bosses, special drops, or crafting opportunities. And probably the coolest one is the Vaal Surgeon Table. If you get it, you can replace one of your 4 limbs with a super-powered prosthetic. It's like an extra itemization slot that doesn't occupy an itemization slot. Stack more affixes onto yourself. And if you run the table again, you can get more prosthetics until you replace all 4 limbs. But if you ever die, you respawn with your flesh limbs, losing the prosthetics. Pretty interesting, hardcore light mechanic. Outside of that, Rise of the Abyssal is going core. That's great because Abyssal crafting is a huge win for solo self-found players. It'll show up randomly in the endgame, not in every region, and it will have its own Atlas tree. Abyss crafting is being removed from Waystones, but you can still upgrade tablets and even corrupt them with Fate of the Vaal. Oh, and another easy win for the community, Delirium Fog has been massively reduced. Plus, Instilling has been removed altogether, so you are no longer forced to interact with Delirium if you'd prefer not to. In the balance patch, Frozen Mandible Spectres are RIP. They can no longer be bound as specters or tamed beasts. Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod got nerfed as expected. For most special socketables, you are now limited to only having 1 of them. Bosses now have the same anti-burst damage mechanic as they had in PoE1. Basically, bosses start off with some damage reduction that rapidly falls off, just so they can't be deleted at spawn. We also learned that eventually rarity will be removed from gear. The reason it hasn't happened yet seems to be that they just don't want to remove the affix and then have nothing to put in its place, so they're working on something there. A lot of people are happy about this, though I know some people still do like rarity on gear as a mechanic. I personally do not enjoy the idea of nerfing the power of my character in order to get better rewards. I prefer to take on greater challenges for greater rewards. And in order to take on those greater challenges, I need to make my character stronger. Now, there has been some disappointment that we did not get the promised big endgame rework. Endgame has been the weakest part of PoE2 since release, and this update is not really changing endgame much. While the Druid is great, many people would have preferred to have new endgame over a new class. Not even Trial of the Ancestors made it into this patch to give us an alternative to Sanctum. But we do know that the endgame rework will include the Atlas passive tree being basically fully reimagined, and that there's a large amount of content planned for that endgame rework, complete with pinnacle bosses and all. They said the scope was too large for them to finish it in time for 040, and that it'll come in 050 instead. And bigger picture, speaking with FRVR at a roundtable interview, Jonathan Rogers said that the team is pretty confident in a 2026 release of 1.0. That means campaign finished, game balance in a good place, and endgame in a good place. Those are his requirements for the 1.0 release. A somewhat controversial change with this patch, pack size reduction. At endgame, monster numbers could get overwhelming, so they are reducing pack size by 40%, and instead increasing monster drop rates by 40%, and XP by 40%, and their life by 40%. They're also reducing the speed modifiers on monsters. This should result in greater build diversity at endgame. You don't need a screen clearing build, you can focus on more single target stuff. Also, when there's just a screen full of monsters, you don't have methodical combat, and that's sort of been the selling point of PoE2 from the start. But people like destroying screens of monsters, so yeah, some people are not happy about this. But probably something everyone can agree on, if we're getting 40% fewer monsters without a reduction in map size, that means we're going to be spending a lot more time walking through emptier maps now. And we know how that went back at launch. Now, this mob reduction should also help with game performance, which has been a pain point for a lot of people. And coupled with the improvements to performance GGG said they made, optimization stuff, coming with this patch, I'm expecting overall to see big performance improvements. Now, outside of PoE2, people are pointing to data for PoE1 that suggests that Keepers of the Flame has the lowest retention of any league in Path of Exile's history. I'm actually shocked by this. I wasn't able to play the league for very long, but I was enjoying what I did get to experience. The Foulborn unique seemed to allow for cool build options. The tree as a crafting mechanic to get more deterministic loot was amazing. And the addition of async trade was just the cherry on top of everything. But apparently at endgame, there just wasn't enough juicing content, not enough pinnacle challenge, and not enough loot dropping. Compared to last league, which had a ton of loot, So it felt especially bad now to have a paucity of loot. Mercenaries was a huge, awesome feature, and in comparison, the new breach mechanic isn't nearly as fun for most players, with a lot of annoying pain points. And altogether, this has sort of put us in a weird place now in the aRPG community, where it seems no matter the game, everyone is upset or unhappy. The narrative is that the PoE1 League has bad retention, the PoE2 update does not add more endgame, Last Epoch has sold out to craft on and is going pay to win, and Diablo 4, it's just always bad, and now they're not even adding in the leaderboard at launch, so the whole season is going to be RIP. Honestly, it's getting really depressing to be part of the aRPG community. The amount of negativity and doomerism is just... This is not what I signed up for. I started making videos on YouTube like 15 years ago or more, because I just want to share my passion for my hobbies with like-minded people. I wanted to geek out and get excited about stuff that I liked with other people that like that stuff. And now just everything sucks. Nothing is ever good enough. Like, GGG pumps out so much content so consistently on a very fair monetization model. Still supporting PoE1 in a big way. We're getting a big content update with the Druid and the League, and it's still not enough. Like, I don't know, man. It just feels like we're a community that is impossible to please. Moving on to some Last Epoch news. We actually got an update this week on a feature promised in a very old roadmap, skill sigils. An EHG team member who has been spearheading the sigils project for months chimed in on Reddit to confirm that this mysterious feature is still in the works, but won't be coming in Season 4 as the initial roadmap suggested. He says that the team was too ambitious planning it for Season 4, and over the course of post-launch development, they had to reprioritize some game features. As it stands, sigils are far from complete. They had to pause their development to work on other stuff, but they've also expanded the scope of sigils to include more than what they initially had planned. So at some point, the plan to release sigils in Season 4 changed. Also, just last night, we got a tweet from the team saying that a more detailed roadmap covering what content to expect in Season 4 and 5, as well as the expansion. It'll be a big post coming next week. As a reminder, they posted a roadmap last week that really didn't say anything other than Seasons 4 and 5 will come, followed by the expansion, all in 2026. Probably, subject to change. I think the reason it was so bare was because they didn't want to repeat what I guess they felt was a mistake with their first roadmap, promising too many features coming in specific seasons in the very far future, and then needing to rearrange so much and change the order and cancel things. And, you know, case in point, the skill sigils that people have been asking about since they first appeared on the roadmap, and they really have nothing to announce in that regard. Still, though, I believe it's better to just always be communicative. Tease features coming over the next year that we can get excited about. And, you know, if and when that schedule changes, just let us know. Hey gang, we want this feature to be even bigger and better than initially promised, so we're pushing it back a couple of seasons. Or, hey gang, we really wanted to do this feature, but we realized in testing that it's just not working out, so we're putting it on the shelf for now so that we can focus on some other features first. What EHG always had was the goodwill of its community, and I think the community would have been understanding. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that may no longer be the case after recent events. Big AI-first publisher Krafton bought EHG. Last Epoch has announced a paid class, going back on a promise to never have paid content outside of cosmetics, and the community is upset. Part of what made EHG special was that it was the little guy, the grassroots operation taking on the big dogs. And so they were given special treatment by players. Bugs and balance issues and missing content and inconsistent seasonal releases, this was all forgivable when we would rake other devs over the coals for these things. But once you're acquired by a big publisher, you're not an indie darling anymore. Now you're seen as corporate. Now, last week I put forth the question to you folks, how could EHG have handled this whole paid class thing better? Given the situation that they were in, that their post-launch business model was not profitable, and they therefore needed to find a new monetization method or go out of business eventually, what better idea could they have gone with? And I really saw no answers to this question. People brought up the fact that it is not the customer's responsibility to tell the business how to be profitable. Yes, I agree, of course, but that's a cop-out of an answer. This is the best idea they came up with, so if we don't like it, and we don't have any better ideas, maybe there is no better idea. Now, one thing, though, that could have happened that may have resulted in this going down better, I don't know about good, but at least better, prior to the acquisition, maybe EHG should have communicated their intent to the community, explained the situation, everything that's come out now, right? Everything that they've said publicly after the acquisition, maybe that should have been communicated beforehand. Hey guys, our current model has not been profitable. We tried to make it work. It's not working. Here are our options going forward. What do you think? We value your input. We know you've stuck by us over the years. You're our Kickstarter backers. Just please understand that this cosmetic-only model is not working. I know we promised not to charge for anything, but look, it's either we go out of business or we find something here. We want to be able to support this game in the long run, and as things are going, we won't be able to for too much longer. Sure, some people would be upset, others disappointed, and this probably still would have ended up with the ultimate outcome of the Craft-On deal, but at least the community would have felt like they were part of the decision and not just blindsided by one day we are owned by Craft-On now. Now, this could have actually done harm to potential deals, because then when they'd go to negotiate with potential publishers, it would be publicly known that the game is not currently profitable, resulting in probably less favorable deals for EHG. So, who knows if this really would have been the best move for them. I don't know if it would have been the best business move, but at the very least, it would have been probably the better move for how the community would react. But moving on to some quick Titan Quest 2 news, an update released this week that includes the new Forge Mastery, as well as relics and charms. We spoke about these features in a previous video. I have not had a chance to check it out myself yet, but recent reviews seem to be good, and the Forge Mastery apparently has a really strong Sentry Summoner build. But if you folks have tried it, drop your thoughts in the comments below. And folks, if you missed what's going on with Last Epoch and why it now has overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam, do check out last week's video where we give the full breakdown of this saga. Because that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders for more gaming content.